Welcome back to the Scream Files. Today we're looking at 5 of the most chilling and complex cases of kids who kill. These stories aren't just about crime, they raise serious questions about psychology, justice, and whether redemption is even possible. We often think of childhood as a time of innocence, but sometimes the unimaginable happens. Some children, whether shaped by trauma, obsession, or something far darker, commit acts so disturbing they defy belief. In 1999, Lionel Tate became the youngest person in U.S. history at the time to be sentenced to life in prison without parole at just 12 years old. His victim was 6-year-old Tiffany Eunuch, a family friend who was staying at his home in Broward County, Florida. Lionel claimed he was imitating wrestling moves he saw on TV, including body slams and elbow drops. But Tiffany's injuries told a different story. She suffered a fractured skull, lacerated liver, broken ribs, and internal bleeding. The brutality was more consistent with a fatal beating than accidental play. At trial, Lionel was charged as an adult. The court ruled that his actions showed a depraved mind, even if he didn't intend to kill. He was sentenced to life, a decision that sparked massive public debate. Critics argued that a 12-year-old couldn't fully grasp the consequences of his actions. After public pressure and legal appeals, his sentence was overturned in 2004. He was released on probation, only to be rearrested multiple times as a teen and adult, including for armed robbery. The Lionel Tate case continues to raise major questions. Can a child understand murder? And if they can't, who should be held responsible? In 1968, Mary Bell shocked Britain. Just one day before her 11th birthday, she lured a 4-year-old boy, Martin Brown, into an abandoned home and killed him by strangulation. A few weeks later, she struck again, this time with a friend. The victim, 3-year-old Brian Howe, was not only strangled, but mutilated with scissors. Mary later carved an M into his stomach. What made this case even more disturbing? Mary seemed to enjoy the attention. She returned to the scene, asked police questions, and even vandalized her school with messages like, "I killed Martin Brown." Psychologists determined she had severe emotional disturbances, possibly stemming from her upbringing. Her mother was abusive and allegedly forced her into inappropriate situations. Mary was sentenced to indefinite detention and released at 23. She was granted a new identity and lives in hiding to this day. Red-haired, freckled, and quiet, Eric Smith looked like a typical 13-year-old. But in 1993, in Steuben County, New York, he brutally murdered 4-year-old Derek Roby in the woods near their homes. Eric lured Derek off a park path, then strangled him, smashed his head with a rock, and sexually assaulted him with a stick. The violence was shocking, but what truly horrified investigators was Eric's lack of remorse. He later confessed, saying he had been bullied for his appearance and lashed out in rage. Psychologists diagnosed him with intermittent explosive disorder, an impulse control issue, but he was found competent to stand trial. Eric was sentenced to 9 years to life and was denied parole 10 times. In 2021, after nearly 30 years in prison, he was finally released at age 42. Some believe he was rehabilitated. Others argue a child capable of such violence can never truly be trusted again. In 2006, in the quiet Canadian town of Medicine Hat, 12-year-old Jasmine Richardson and her 23-year-old boyfriend, Jeremy Steinke, committed one of Canada's most shocking crimes, the murder of Jasmine's entire family. Fueled by a twisted obsession, the couple plotted the killings after Jasmine's parents forbade her from seeing Jeremy, who openly claimed to be a vampire. One night, they carried out their plan. Jeremy killed her mother and father, stabbed multiple times. Jasmine, shockingly, killed her own 8-year-old brother to put him out of his misery. Jasmine was the youngest person in Canadian history to be convicted of multiple murders. She was sentenced to 10 years, the maximum for a minor under Canadian law. She was released in 2016 and now lives under a new identity. Jeremy, now known as Jackson May, was sentenced to life in prison. The case shocked a nation and showed how manipulation and delusion could turn even a 12-year-old into a killer. In 1993, 2-year-old James Bulger was abducted from a shopping mall in Liverpool by 2 10-year-old boys, John Venables and Robert Thompson. What happened next became one of the most disturbing crimes in British history. The boys led James over 2 miles to a railway track where they tortured and killed him, beating him with bricks and an iron bar, and leaving his body on the tracks to be cut by a train in an attempt to cover their crime. Security footage of the toddlers walking hand in hand with James shocked the world. The question wasn't just, how could they do it? but how could they even understand what they were doing? The boys were convicted and became the youngest murderers in modern UK history. They served 8 years and were released with new identities. Venables has since reoffended multiple times, including possession of child abuse images. The public continues to debate, should children like this ever be freed? These aren't just headlines, they're real stories of childhood gone horribly wrong. Some were born into chaos, others created it, but all of them force us to ask, can a child be evil? Or are they simply a product of what we allow them to become? Let me know in the comments which of these cases stuck with you most, and whether you think justice was truly served. Thanks for watching. If you want more deep dives into the darkest parts of the human mind, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you never miss an episode. Until next time, stay aware and stay safe.